We're going to take a look at a function that people don't often use perhaps that much in Photoshop, which is called variables. And it's what we're going to do here is as if this is going to be a featured part of our website where every so often we want to feature a member. We have many different members, and rather than doing a manual replace, we're going to set up kind of a template and then let Photoshop automate it for us. So basically all I've done here is set up just a simple layer document with my shape layer here, and then kind of like placeholders where I'm going to eventually replace where it says name with the actual member's name. The date will be where I'll put in the actual their membership joining date, and then a brief one-sentence bio. And then if I collapse this for a second, you can see I also have a photographic placeholder. So to make things easier, I've tried to name these layers things that make sense, because in a moment we have to assign variables to these. So we're going to do that under here, under the image menu, to variables, and go into define. Brings in this dialog box, and basically what we need to do is go through the things that we want to associate to replace automatically. So for example, the name will be one of the things we'll replace with the actual member's name. So we're gonna go in here and just, now you don't have to name it this specifically, I'm just doing this to remind myself this is a text item, and it's the one called name. So then we'll just basically go through and put the ones we want. Photo holder, we want it to be pixel replacement, and we're going to call this pixel photo. Now whenever you're replacing a photo, you have various options. I've tried to ahead of time prepare my photos so they're all kind of the same size, but that gives you several different options. You'll see that the fit method is probably the one that makes the best sense, because it resizes the image and preserves the proportions. If you simply choose fill, and it tells you each time, it will resize, but it may overlap in some area. As is would be only if you knew specifically the size was correct, or conform, which will try to resize but won't preserve the original proportion. So I'm going to choose fit, and I want to align to the center. And you don't really have to worry about that, of course, for any image type layer. So then the date we want to also, put that on there, because that's going to be, we're going to enter into our file when they joined. And you see the little asterisk appears to show these are the ones that have something associated with it. And then we'll put bio in there. And let's just see member since. Oops, don't want member since. That was the one that we have the date. So basically name, date, bio, and photo are the only ones we really have to worry about. And then we can click OK, and now if we save this document, basically that information is saved. So now we'll move on and create our text file so that we can do this automatically. So here we are I'm just using Microsoft Word. You can use anything that creates a plain text file. And all you do is in the first line you put the name of the variable. So these are the ones that I created: text name, separated by commas, text date, and so on. And then you put in the actual information that matches up. So I just entered these manually: the name of the person, the date, and then a short bio, and then finally the actual JPEG file. Now I'm putting this data file in the same folder as the images, so therefore I don't need to define any kind of path. But if they already exist somewhere else, you'd have to actually put, like my pictures / whatever the path to get there. And basically then you save this as a plain text file. Basically now we have to go back to Photoshop, and we've already defined the variables. Now we have to define the data set we want to use, and basically all we have to do is simply import the one that we have created. Now what will happen if you have this preview turned on, this is kind of cool, is it'll actually show you the first one, so you can see, is this correct or not. So there's the first one. You can look through, you can actually see, here's the second one, here's the third one. So you can kind of check them and make sure that they're all the way that you want. And once they are, then you simply click OK. Now once you've gone out of that preview, you can see your layout goes right back the way it was, because that really was just a preview. So that was showing us that the information matched up. Now we have to actually automate the whole process of putting it together, and it's very simple to do. We just go to Export, Data Set as Files, and then we'll just make sure we're using the correct folder here. And then basically it's just set up a file naming system. So we want to call this members banner, just so we can see what it does, showing me a little example one. Now it is a PSD file, so it'll end up with as a multi-layered PSD file. So the final part of this procedure would be to use something like image processor to turn it into a series of flat, for example, JPEGs we could use on our website as an example. So still, as you'll see, it's a whole lot quicker. So now let's go ahead and find the folder. There's the folder with the files that were created. If I just open all of these, it'll of course very nicely open them partway off the screen, because that's just what it does, just to make our lives more interesting. But you can see here that each one of them is in fact displaying the information with the correct photograph. Everything else is great, and it was just done completely automatically because of the way it works. So that's pretty cool to me. Now, I just basically touched the surface here. If you want to find out more information, the help file has a really good section on creating data-driven graphics, as they call them, about how to create variables and creating the text files and so on. It's really quite simple once you do it the first time. Then you'll start creating just about anything. Here's one that I created a little earlier using the same method. See how easy it is to do? Very simple. My name's Dave Cross. I hope you enjoyed this, and I shall see you next time.